Hello and welcome to Utkrist and Rosetta Stone combined webinar program, How Language Learning Creates Global Opportunities. My name is Shivam, your moderator and co-presenter for today's webinar. Before we get started, I have a few tips to enhance your today's webinar experience. Around the live webinar presentation, you will find a variety of interacting options. We encourage you to participate. You can use the right-hand option to message your question and thoughts about this program. You can either directly ask a question or with your question, you can include your name, title, university, school name. You can use the message option, which is available on the right-hand side top when you are accessing from a desktop. Throughout the program, you may send your questions and thoughts in the chat box, and they will be attended after the presentation. This webinar is being recorded. You can access this webinar recording within 3 working days at utkrist.com/webinars. Now I would like to introduce and welcome our guest speaker, Mr. Troy Tylis. Troy has 20 years experience in language, education, cross-cultural analysis, and technology for leading global companies. Troy has living and working experience in 70 plus countries. Troy is also Rosetta Stone's global strategist. Thank you, Troy, for joining us. Now we will turn this to you to share your valuable insights for today.
Thank you very much. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yes, Troy, I can hear you.
Excellent. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. Make sure that we can see my screen okay.
Yes, Troy, yes, we can see your screen, yeah.
Fantastic. Again, thank you so much for having me here with everyone today. It's an absolute pleasure to be here and to discuss how language learning creates global opportunities. I think that's really what we're going to focus on. And I think it's going to be a great insight, the information that we're going to go over today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and walk through this. And I think initially language communication skills and also ultimately impact personal growth. And I think that's why we're here today and talking about what language can do for you as an individual and how it truly can create global opportunities. So opportunities locally, but also globally. I always like to start with this sentence here, and I'd like for everyone to kind of take a second to think about it as I read this. If you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk to him in his own language, that goes to his heart. Again, if you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk to him in his own language, that goes to his heart. This was a statement made by Nelson Mandela. I think it really shows the point that if we truly begin to speak other individuals' languages, we begin to delve into their mindset, their ideas, their culture, their communities. And it really goes to their heart. It shows the commitment that we're making, the connection that we begin to have with individuals when we begin to speak their own language and really begin to understand their own culture. And I think that's, again, what really helps us understand that language learning creates opportunity. It creates global opportunity. I think we really need to focus on language is more than just words on a page. And I think that's something that we really have to think about as well. Language is cognitive and there's a lot of academic benefits to it. So understanding the structure of communication will really help with your opportunities. Pattern recognition, hypothesis, problem solving, critical thinking. So this all comes through language acquisition. Additionally, languages are connected to cultures. So language helps you understand cultures, different cultures, multicultural aspects, and it gives you really a global awareness. Language learning also helps you with leadership positions, and it also helps you in employment and life skills. Again, language is equity and diversity. It helps you build confidence. It encourages your respect for others, and it helps foster understanding. So the cross-cultural communication. It offers skills for employment opportunities, of course. I mean, the more versed you are in global or world languages, the more versed you are in cross-cultural concepts, ideas, it helps promote employment skills and opportunities. And also participating more effectively and responsibly in a multicultural world. And as we know, and as we've seen through the pandemic that we've just gone through and we're still coming out of, we're really becoming a very close, connected global society, if you will. And by understanding and speaking different languages and understanding different cultures, that really helps yourself become a part of this global society that we're now living in. Language is not an easy task to learn. And this is an example here. It's running uphill from a basic beginner of a language to intermediate to proficiency levels. And I like to show this slide because I think it's very important to kind of understand as we progress through our language learning journey with no knowledge, let's say, in a language that we are studying, to becoming a fully native speaker or proficient speaker of that language. So from an A1 to a C2 range, based off of the Common European Framework of Reference, so the CEFR scaling, and we'll talk about that in a second. What you see here is individuals that progress from that beginner level of A1, where they can read very short sentences, they can introduce themselves, different things. And as you move through A2 to B1, where you get into more of a professional range, into B2, C1, C1 plus, you're able to then begin to really present professionally, present clear ideas, give clear, well-structured presentations on complex subjects, and so on to full native proficiency. But again, language learning is truly a journey, but it's a journey that's a fantastic journey. It's a fun journey. And personally, I've traveled the world. I speak multiple languages, and I still find it fascinating every day when I am able to utilize my language skills to work with different cultures around the globe and understand their perspective on things and how they see things and how they operate and do things. And it's made me much more of a generous individual. It's made me more respectful of the world around me. And language has truly created a lot of opportunity for me and myself in my current role and position, but also it's created opportunity for me in my personal life as well. So top educational organizations emphasize on continuous language development. And here are some organizations, educational organizations that we currently work with at Rosetta Stone. Additionally, we work with top enterprise organizations across the globe. And day in, day out, individuals within these organizations see the benefit of language learning and how it's personally helped them, but also professionally helped them with their goals in their professional life. The importance of English in particular is something we want to take a look at today. English is the most spoken language in the world, currently spoken by 1 of every 5 individuals. 70% of language students report having more confidence working in teams. So this again is as our vast experience and expertise working with global organizations, both educational and enterprise, we see that these teams, these individuals, they're able to resolve problems quicker, and they're also to increase client satisfaction. Additionally, 85% of pages on the internet, for example, are in English. And English is at minimum the official language of at least 45 countries around the world, if not more at this point. So the importance and the role that English plays to create global opportunity is vast. Additionally, developments in genetics, artificial intelligence, robotics, nanotechnology, 3D printing, and even biotechnology, it's just to name a few, are all building on and amplifying one another. So this will lay the foundation for a revolution more comprehensive and an all-encompassing than anything we've ever seen. Smart systems, homes, factories, farms, grids, and cities will help tackle problems ranging from supply chain management to climate change. The rise of the sharing economy will allow people to monetize everything from their empty house to their car. So some jobs are threatened by redundancy and others grow rapidly. Existing jobs are also going through a change in the skill set required to do them. Well, why do we talk about all this? Well, language ability, language knowledge creates opportunity. So what do we hear from universities, for example? Well, when I talk to universities and university presidents, one of the biggest challenges that they face today is finding a way not only to attract more students, but to make sure that they are engaged throughout their higher education journey. But why is this so important? Well, because increased enrollment plus highly engaged students equals higher graduation rates. Higher graduation rates equal highly educated and also expanded alumni base for universities. And this leads, of course, to more donations, more funding for your wonderful institution. Language is a requirement for graduation. However, learners that can communicate in their language of study are currently very low. Too often we look to tick a box and miss the real opportunity to create a multilingual learner ready to tackle the marketplace. So again, learning languages isn't just a nice to have, but it's a necessity. It creates opportunity for the individual. It creates global opportunity for them as well as for others. So why invest in language training? Well, of course, to prepare for a workforce, a successful workforce in our ever-changing global market, our global environment. Additionally, professional development for teachers and staff is something that often gets overlooked. This is very important to remember. To provide professional development for teachers and staff in regards to language acquisition and language learning. Scalability, so increase the scale to increase the impact, so being able to scale a program, a language program. Additionally, now in the world that we live in, support digital transformation efforts. So this is why you want to invest in language training. Expand the portfolio of languages offered, and as well to provide an experience, a learning experience with communicative emphasis. And again, language learning helps with all of this. Just to take an example here for looking at here, the New York City Department of Education and the United Federation of Teachers, they hold a common belief that by extending educator skills beyond their individual classrooms, teachers themselves can be powerful levers of change in their schools and community. So this is just an example from the New York Department of Education. However, this is now becoming common thought for most organizations. So a model teacher can experiments with a variety of research-based instructional strategies, curricula, and teaching methods that become very beneficial for diverse student populations. It really helps the student populations. Model teachers as well articulate instructional choices and supports colleges and educational institutions to take innovative steps in the selection of instructional strategies moving forward, lesson planning, and so on. So again, learning languages provides opportunity, and just not local opportunity, but global opportunity in the world that we live in today. Rosetta Stone and the personalized language learning to build impactful communicators. I think what we're trying to say here is our mission at Rosetta Stone is truly dedicated to changing people's lives through the power of language education. We have been for over 30 years. We believe truly that every person can learn to read, write, and speak with confidence. And in fact, that's what we help them do. We help them along their language journey. Language educators' mission. So here we simplify and structure language elements. What do I mean by that? So the structure of curriculum with recognized language scales. So Rosetta Stone has based our software off of the CFER scaling. So the CFER scale measures language ability across 6 levels, from basic user to proficient user. The CFER scale is a globally recognized standard that individuals use and that institutions use to evaluate language learning. With this, we establish learning and teaching objectives. We always review the curricula, as well design teaching materials, and provide a base for recognizing language qualifications, again, connected back to the CFER scaling. Now, additionally to what we base our software on the CFER scaling, the framework here is aligned to others as well. So this is what you're seeing here. This is an example of the Rosetta Stone software from units 1 through 4, 5 through 8, 9 through 12, and so on. All of that is recognized or aligned to different types of scaled alignments. So whether that would be Cambridge, IELTS, TOEFL, and so on. I'll leave this here for just a second just so that you can kind of take a look at this. But again, what we're doing here is language learning. We're showing that it's the value to language learning. We're showing you, as you move forward on your language journey, the opportunities that it can create for you, what you're going to be learning, and how it can be globally recognized and be incorporated into any aspect of your personal, but more importantly, your professional life. Technology and innovation for speech practices. So proprietary speech recognition based upon speech modules that have been learned from thousands of recorded native speakers. So the Rosetta Stone has designed its own speech recognition process. It's not designed to just understand, but designed to give feedback and to guide students to refine their speech. So as we know, when, for example, if you're talking with a credit card company on a phone, it's asking you, did you say yes? Press 1. Did you say no? Press 2. It's trying to understand what you're saying, but it's not giving you feedback. Well, we understood that that's important, but you also need to have the feedback. So we've combined that, and now you have the feedback as well. So you're continually able to work with the software, artificial intelligence connected to the human intelligence, to finely tune your language skills. And additionally, we provide statistical pronunciation grading within the software as well to help with that, so that you can follow along your own journey to see how well you're improving. Additionally, we design interactive content and activities for engagement, and not simple engagement, but truly fun, engaging activities. At the same time, we also do independent research studies to share the effectiveness of the Rosetta Stone language learning solution for both foreign language and English language learners. Here's an example of a few institutions that we've worked with. We also develop materials for teachers. We understand that for teachers, it's important for them to be able to not only have access to a language program, one for their own personal development, but also to blend that into a classroom environment. We've created things such as the teacher guides, as well as other workbooks, expanded activities, and different other resources that are available that align up to the Rosetta Stone software, where you can take your language learning to a whole nother level. So it truly becomes a blended learning experience in conjunction with educators, introducing artificial intelligence with the software, as well as introducing additional material that's been specifically developed for educators to really go deep and make an impact on language learning to help individuals with their language journey. I think the thing to remember here is that Rosetta Stone is really the gym of language acquisition. I think we know that going to the gym, it takes work. It takes time. It takes patience. But here, the student really is truly the center of the learning. It's a scientific learning plan, the way that we've designed Rosetta Stone, from dynamic immersion to goal-driven content and so on. It fits each individual. We're able to truly tailor to individuals and their needs, whether they're a complete beginner or an advanced learner. But again, plenty of practice is required. No interference from a native language. So really, we're teaching you to speak with confidence. And finally, you're able to track and get feedback. And that's what's truly important. Combining the artificial intelligence, the software, and other aspects with educators, depending on how the implementation planning is set up, you're truly able to track your progress, you're able to get feedback, and take your language learning to a whole nother level. And again, the topic today is for global opportunities, and that's exactly what it's doing. It's preparing you, giving you access to language skills that will present and open up global opportunities. I'd like to thank everyone for having me here today. And I think at this point, I'll go ahead and pass it back over. And then if we have question and answers as well, we can go ahead and answer those.
Thank you very much, Toy. So thank you for your insightful presentation. We will continue to take the questions. In the meantime, we would like to play a demo video to show how Rosetta Stone works. Kindly note, we understand the implementation case for each K-12 and university may be different. For schools, our content and platform are designed to be child-friendly. For a customized implementation plan and demo, we will display our contact details during the question and answer session. But for now, kindly take a look at the overall features, how it looks, how our platform looks in the education segment overall for university and schools combined.
A man and a dog. A woman and her dog.
I jumped off the bed. I'm going to jump off the bed. He threw the ball. He's going to throw the ball.
She needs sunglasses. She needs soap. He needs a ladder. He needs a towel.
Excuse me, where is the grocery store?
The grocery store is near the bridge.
It's always cold here.
So in our last meeting, we agreed to send out coupons offering a free small cup of coffee with the purchase of one bakery item, like a cookie or a piece of cake.
That's right. But they left it up to us to decide how to put that into action. So the first question is, should we use email or standard mail?
Coupon. A husband. Hus.
Hus.
Hus. Bund.
Bund.
Bund. Husband.
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 I'm practicing the violin inside.
I'm practicing the guitar outside.
I'm practicing soccer inside.
I'm practicing soccer outside.
What color flowers do you want?
I want red flowers.
I want red flowers.
How many do you want?
I want 35.
I want 35.
Driving. The man is driving, driving, driving. The small car is white, and the sky and the highway are black.
Driving. The man is driving, driving, driving. The small car is white, and the sky and the highway are black.
Your friends have invited you out to a restaurant to celebrate your birthday. You arrive at the restaurant.
We called a few days ago to reserve a table.
Could we have a table, please? We reserved a table this morning.
Could we have a table, please?
You're lucky. Some people have just called to cancel their reservation. Otherwise, the restaurant was full.
Yes, that's really good luck.
Please come this way. Will this be all right, here by the window?
That's perfect. What a great view. We'd like to near the window.
Are we here to test?
You're good. This is Shelley. Like other high-performance sports cars, it can traverse tough terrain, accelerate quickly, negotiate turns at high speeds. But Shelley does not need a driver.
In what city or country would you like to work? Record 3 or 4 sentences describing why.
Thank you for patiently watching the video recording. Now we will move on to the question and answer session. So we would request everyone to kindly send their questions in the chat box, or if you would like to interact in an audio, kindly let us know. We will unmute you. most of the participants that we have today is from K-12. Kindly let us know if you have any questions. We can start addressing them. Or if you know everything was all clear to you, kindly let us know in the chat box or raise your hand. We can unmute you and we can have a short conversation and address your questions. Gayatri, ma'am, you are, I see, you are a TGT English teacher. So can you share your experience today of today's webinar and, if you have any question, any feedback for us? I have just allowed a mic for you. Maybe you can unmute and speak. Gayatri, ma'am.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, ma'am.
So I really felt that yes, as it's really giving us a global opportunity regarding the language skills, and how about it really helps each individual teacher to enhance their language skills also. And I really felt this. It's really it's very good for a language educator. And even I have gone through like there are certain contents which is quite child friendly for school academic level. You have just visiting those. I felt it's nice, sir. I think it's really good and we can take up.
Thank you, ma'am. Any question you have? Anything that you would like to ask our guest speaker for today, Troy? Any questions from your side?
No, sir.
Okay,
Well,
ma'am.
thank you,
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Mila, I'm just allowing the mic for you. It would be really nice to hear from you since you are also into English education. Maybe you can unmute, and if you have any question, any feedback, maybe you can share.
Good evening, sir.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
I joined a little late, 10 minutes late, but I did see most of the um, thing that you portrayed. I think it is quite beneficial for the lower level also because the videos that you had shown us where the language was taught in a very child-friendly manner. It was it was actually easy comprehend. I mean, so not me to comprehend, but I could see that the child can actually comprehend what we're trying to say if they're actually not, even the slow learners. I'm talking about the slow learner sector here. Even they can grasp if we showcase this particular medium.
Right, ma'am. You have any questions for me or Troy?
Not particularly, sir, at the moment.
Okay, ma'am. I think we were very clear in our presentation. Maybe that's a compliment for us. Yes, Bindu, ma'am, I'm just unmuting you. Just give me a minute. Yes, ma'am. You can please unmute yourself and ask your question, Bindu, ma'am.
Very good evening, sir.
Good evening, ma'am.
Hello.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir. I have a very basic question actually, which we commonly find in, especially in our country, like most of the people when they talk in English, so they try to sound like foreigners. Okay. So my question is that we should maintain our clarity, or there should be some emphasis on sounding like foreigners.
That's a very great question. I think the answer lies in both. I think it's important to maintain both, to be able to be adaptable to different situations, or to be able to adapt to different situations depending on where you're at and what the situation calls for. So being able to maintain, but also to be able to speak as a native speaker. For example, if you're studying American English or British English, to be able to be able to speak with the particular accent and have that cultural knowledge. I think both, though, is very important to maintain and to always keep that in mind. And again, it's depending on the situation. So it's really kind of the cultural situation and where you're at, and how you need to address it. But yeah, both. But great question, excellent question.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks a lot for clearing my doubt. Thank
Yeah,
you.
no, absolutely, yes.
Thank you, Vindu ma'am. Troy, we have one. Yeah, thank you. So we have one question from Abhinav. The question is, how does voice recognition work and help, in context of, education?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question as well. How does voice recognition work and help? So our Rosetta Stone understood that that speech recognition or conversation is key to obviously language learning and language communication, cross-cultural communication, and so on. So through Rosetta Stone and developing Rosetta Stone over 30 years ago, we created what we call the dynamic immersion. And within the dynamic immersion, it's all based off of making sure that you're speaking quickly and able to communicate as fast as possible and getting into the communication. So we created our patented speech recognition to be able to do that. And don't think of it as, again, and I mentioned this in the presentation, don't think of it as like a credit card company or something like that when you call in, and it's trying to understand what you're saying. Did you say yes? Did you say no? And then it will move on and push you to the next level. Rosetta Stone understood that we needed so much more than that, so we created with the artificial intelligence, our speech recognition software that truly tries to not only just understand, but it gives you that feedback. It helps you with your pronunciation. So how does the speech recognition work and help? Well, it tries to understand what you're saying. Once it understands what you're saying or not saying correctly, then it helps give you feedback to help fine-tune your language skills. So it truly helps you with practice, pronunciation, and so on, that you can use the software over and over and over and over as often as you like, as much as you need for particular activities, pronunciation activities, whatever it may be, so that when you're going out into the world, whether it's a personal or professional situation, you're able to now reproduce those sounds, sentences, whatever it may be, to talk about the content that you've been learning, and you're able to accurately produce it in the situation so that individuals that speak that language are able to understand you. So that's how it works. It is designed to truly listen to what you're saying, but then also understand if you're saying it correctly, to then help with correcting your pronunciation if you need, and giving you feedback to make sure that you're able to accurately reproduce that, the sound or the sentence, the phrase, the concept, so that you can use that in a personal or professional setting and be understood, and truly be understood, and then truly communicate with others. I hope that answered the question. Great question. Thank you so much.
Yes, Troy. Thank you. So we have one more question from Faiza. Faiza, I have allowed the mic for you. Kindly unmute and ask your question.
Yeah. Good evening.
Evening.
I just wanted to ask, first of all, I would like to appreciate the way artificial intelligence has been, incorporated to make the learning more meaningful. And being a language coordinator, and being from an IB World school, it directly connects to the kind of learning which we are actually, dealing with in day-to-day life with the students. So my question is that, are there certain certified courses which can be suggested or recommended and can be used to make the learning more effective? Like I can see that viewing and presenting, listening and speaking, all those strands and even reading can easily be incorporated with artificial intelligence. Now, how can the teachers incorporate it into their own, lessons to make it more effective?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, thank you for the question. And I think this is what's so wonderful, in particular about the Rosetta Stone software, is that we again understood the need for language learning, and also in a sense of a dynamic immersive mode where learners are learning the language like we learned our first language, not through translation to communication, which we know oftentimes gets people in trouble when they're learning languages and they go from translation to communication, but truly to learning a language via an immersive method, like being within a country that speaks that language and so on. And we've created that or simulated that with the software, with the artificial intelligence. And so being able to then work on all 4 core competencies, so obviously reading, writing, listening, and speaking, we've incorporated that into the software. And I think the key thing with the software that's important to understand, and especially with artificial intelligence nowadays, and again, connecting it back to the Rosetta Stone software and how we've designed it, is that we prepare the learners to begin to speak immediately and to get them to continuously speak, and also additionally work on the other competencies. But they are very comfortable in speaking. They're leveraging or they're using the software and the artificial intelligence to perfect their speech patterns, their vocabulary, to increase the vocabulary, to increase their cognitive ability and skills to think and to discuss different concepts and so on, and things that they've learned along the way. And in the software itself is also placing them at ease, meaning it's not judging them. They're in a safe environment as a student or an individual, where the software can help gently correct them, help them move forward, and then they can continue to work on the pronunciation if they're struggling in certain areas. And that's what the artificial intelligence is able to do. And back to the final part of that question is, teachers are able to incorporate the Rosetta Stone software in a blended learning environment. So what they can do, and we have multitude of different implementation strategies. So it depends on the institution, educational institution. But it can be used strictly as a standalone or a flipped classroom, where students will use the software outside of the classroom. They will learn different concepts, and then when they come back into the classroom, they're much better prepared to begin to communicate because they're comfortable communicating because they've been using the software in a very non-judgmental environment with the software. So they're able to then feel that confidence to come in and discuss that with their educators, with their teachers, on what they've learned. Also, it can be incorporated into the classroom in ways where we have additional resources that teachers can align up the content the students have been studying with the software, with lesson planning, and so on, so they can actually incorporate that so students can study with the software. Then the teacher can lead activities that are connected back directly to what the students have been studying within the software. And so it's a reinforcement of what the students have learned, and the teachers, educators are able to then see if the students are able to demonstrate their knowledge in what they have been studying with the software. So, and again, we have a multitude of different other types of implementation where it can be combined within a classroom. So I think truly it is a solution that's designed for blended learning. I know that was kind of a long answer, but hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you, Troy. And also adding on to Troy's point, so Faiza, when I consult with academic clients, especially in the school space, K-12 space in India, so we have different implementation method that suits any type of learning goals in language. And globally, we have 22,000 academic partners like your school and many other universities in K-12. So in India, the most liked implementation method is, when we are integrating the program with the syllabus itself. So sometimes some of the schools academic directors principal, they come back and they have told me that removing sometimes one or two lesson from their own textbook, but then introducing Rosetta Stone there helps them get more uses and makes the student use the technology instead of just going through the same just like in the old days we had chalk and talk kind of teaching learning methodology. But today we have technology into play. So similarly, just instead of learning from the books, we can also replace some lessons every few quarters with Rosetta Stone, learning program. And also when we are evaluating our students in the finals, like in the examination. So some schools have also agreed to the opinion that we are in discussion with, to take up some, let's say we have different kind of exercises. I'll get in touch with you, touch with all of you to give you the demonstration of our program just for K-12. So in that case, what happens is there is core lessons which comprises of all kind of exercises. There is pronunciation section, there is section on grammar. So you can assign those exercises to your students, and each individual report can be pulled out, and based on how the student is performing on Rosetta Stone, we can develop a mechanism. I can personally work with you to develop a mechanism where you can pull out the, let's say if the paper is of 100 marks, so 75 marks comes from your own examination, but 25 marks can be an equivalent of how they perform on Rosetta Stone based on how much time they spent or based on how much they are scoring on Rosetta Stone. So such mechanism can be developed. I have personally been working with some schools, and that is proving to, very nicely integrate. So again, concluding this, Rosetta Stone can work as a standalone curriculum. But if you want to integrate and drive higher learning outcome, this kind of a strategy also works.
Okay, thank you so much.
Most welcome. So we have a question from Sri Devi. In listening, speaking, reading, writing skills, tremendous changes in writing skills and speaking skills. So why so? Troy, if you understood my question, should I read that again?
Yeah, please. I want to see make sure that I completely understand this. So in the listening, speaking, reading, writing skills, tremendous changes in writing skills and speaking skills. I'm not sure if I understand the question properly.
Okay. So Sridevi, I will unmute the mic for you. Maybe you can speak and ask a question. Just. Yes, Sridevi ma'am, can you please unmute yourself and ask your question verbally? You can hit the mic button and you can speak. Yes, ma'am, I think I can hear you. Oops, one second. Okay, we'll take one last question after Sridevi ma'am, and then we'll come to the end of this program. Yes, Sridevi ma'am, can you unmute yourself, hit the mic button and speak? I think I can hear you, ma'am. Please ask the question.
Yes, I can't able to hear.
Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay, ma'am, we can hear you as well. Please ask the question.
Voice is not audible. It's my voice is audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, actually, we are just discussing about a language, speaking skill, and four skills are there. There is a tremendous changes in the students when you just taught in a speaking skill and writing skill. They are just nowadays the students used to follow the same slang, what they are speaking, the same style they are writing. That comes to the end when grammatically when we used to correct. Why so? That's actually.
So let me go back to the basics of the Rosetta Stone software in particular, and it does focus on all four skills, four competencies: the listening, speaking, reading, and writing. The speaking component of Rosetta Stone, we know obviously the communicative approach is very important. So initially we're going to focus on that, but then we build upon that as well with auditory cues, things that you're hearing, so what you're listening to, as well as visual cues, what you're seeing in a written form. So then you're beginning to get introduced to the alphabet, to letters, to words, to sentences, and so on. So all four skills are going to be worked on, but it's initially going to start off with an immersive environment where you're going to be placed with visual cues, auditory cues, and so on, that then all the other skills fall into place as you begin to work through different activities, units, lessons, and so on. And all both writing skills, speaking skills, all of those will be improved upon as you move forward. And it's a very deliberate and direct method that we've designed to enhance all of those different skills. I'm not sure if I answered your question correct, and I just want to make sure that I understood it still, if that was correct in regards to what your question was.
So adding to that, Troy, from an Indian perspective, answering your question, ma'am. So, when we are, how we speak English and how we write English in India is very different, because when we are writing, mostly we have a very formal approach to writing. When we are writing a letter or when we are writing an application, we have a formal approach. However, when we are speaking, even in an official setup, So in formal English, we generally don't say yeah, but then in while communicating sometimes with our principal, with our teachers, even if students do not know the difference and they say yeah. So there is a difference in how you speak English and how you write English in India. However, it should be formal English that students and everyone should speak in an official setup, and we should as educators we should also teach them formal English. So Rosetta Stone's standard curriculum, because it matches to CEFR standards, we have formal English. So if your students have a different approach to speaking and different approach to writing, then those gaps will be minimized when you are implementing our software and when your students are rigorously going through our program.
Exam terminal 1 exam papers there now.
Sorry?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
You
and
explained a very great sense. Thank you for this answers.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, yeah, and I think I understand. So yes, as you mentioned, I mean, it really is the formal setting. What we're doing is teaching the formal setting. But this is a great example, a great time for the blended learning where teachers or educators can step in and also show the differences between formal English that you're learning via the software and so on, but also with colloquial English or localized English, local English, and show the differences, compare and contrast and highlight, and show that this equals this. So based off of the software, what we're teaching in the formal English pathway, if you will, then the educators are able to then infuse that with colloquial language, local language and so on, where they can show the difference that, the meanings and so on. So it's a great opportunity actually for the blended learning aspect to step in, where educators can then help individuals, their learners, their students understand that this equates to this based off of how we're teaching it. And this situation, you would use this language, standard language, and perhaps in this situation, you could use a colloquial, you could use the local language. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yes, thank you. So thank you, Troy, for answering the questions. And with this, we have come to the end of today's webinar, and I will get in touch with all of you to give you an access to our platform where you can see the platform and where we can give you a demo on how our software solution works, how our program works, and how it can align with your existing curriculum and drive higher learning outcome for your school, for your learners. In the meantime, I would like to, for you to focus on this part of the slide for a minute or less, so that you can get my direct number if you want to reach me, for a Rosetta Stone implementation. So with this, I would like to thank all of you for joining. Thank you very much, Troy. Really appreciate your time and the insights that you shared today. A quick reminder that this webinar is being recorded and the recording will be available, and we will be sharing you the recording link soon. Thank you very much for your time. With this, we have come to the end. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you, Troy, for making time for today's program. And thank you all the academic leaders for joining today. So we will be ending the webinar now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.